Zimbabwe is looking to sell shares in 35 state-owned firms, including telecoms and mining entities. This is the latest step to revive the economy under new political leadership, according to Finance Minister Patrick Chinamasa. Chinamasa told reporters that Mnangagwa's cabinet had decided the government would partially sell some shares in a range of parastatals. This would be done through engaging strategic partners and floating shares on the local stock exchange. Targeted firms include mobile carriers NetOne and Telecel, fixed-line operator TelOne and savings bank POSB. Shares in 17 government-run mines would also be sold. Like most parastatals, the mines have struggled over the years due to lack of capital and mismanagement, forcing some to close. Let's get more now from Farai Mwakutuya, who joins us on the line from Zimbabwe's capital, Harare. Farai, the cabinet has issued a 100-day deadline for sale plans to be developed and presented. In view of the number of entities involved, is this really sufficient time?
Well, Benita, it is quite a large list, but I think it's important to note that not all these companies are in one particular sector. They fall under different line ministries ranging from agriculture to industry, and so those different ministries will be able to deal with those cases on a case-by-case basis and in time to be able to perhaps meet this deadline. But I think it's also important to note that Zimbabwe has been talking about privatization and restructuring and reforming its state enterprises for some time now, but nothing has really happened. So what you might see here is a case of dusting off some old proposals that have been gathering dust on the shelves and just updating them to suit the current requirements. So I'm sure that within the 100-day time frame, there can be significant progress made in terms of achieving those deadlines.
What have been the immediate reactions from investors to this announcement?
Well, I think very positive. It's been a long time coming. Zimbabwe's been talking about privatizing. It's been talking about restructuring these state enterprises that have really led the fiscus for some time now, but there hasn't been any action. And now people are hopeful that there will be progress made in that regard. People see this as a commitment by this government to say, when it says Zimbabwe is open for business, it indeed is. Here's an opportunity. It's giving to investors, both local and foreign, to participate in terms of taking up shares and stakes within these state-owned enterprises, and also a realization that government had been crowding out private sector, so giving an opportunity for them to come in and acknowledging that it may not be the best at business and allowing those with the competency and the technical capability to step up and be able to do that. But of course, I think the key thing now is to see if indeed that 100-day deadline we've just been speaking about can be met. Will government be able to follow through and be able to achieve this?
Some of the companies targeted for I have great business potential. For instance, the communication sector as well as the 17 mines. What measures are in place to see that bidding will be transparent and fair?
Well, Penina, at this stage, we don't know the criteria or the manner in which government will go about this, but I'm sure that given the scrutiny that will be put on this process and given the start that this new administration has had in terms of corruption and abuse of office, there will clearly be measures to ensure that there is a fair and equitable bidding, a fair and equitable bidding process for these companies. I think what is also crucial and what we'll see here is that people, companies and investors that have proven track records in these businesses will be the ones that will be given preference. I'll give you an example of Templex Corporation, which is recently the state-owned companies on this list, and in the recent past where the government has tried to dispose of it, one of the key things, one of the criteria they said was, they don't want any middlemen, any fund managers to bid for that company, but they wanted industrial companies that are actually in business, that are producing and manufacturing, to be the ones that bid for that company. And so we're unlikely to see any middlemen here, but companies that have a proven track record, that have the capacity and that are able to immediately turn on the key and be able to start delivering on these companies, Penina.
Farai, are we likely to see a condition that Zimbabwean investors must have a huge chunk to stake in these entities?
Well, I think given the background where we're coming from, we had a law that was very unpopular, very unattractive to foreign investors, and which many people believe was holding back FDI inflows into Zimbabwe. So it's unlikely that this new administration will put those sort of stringent and strict regulations that compel investors and potential strategic partners to partner with Zimbabweans and give them a huge chunk. What government will probably do is encourage that Zimbabweans participate as much as possible where they can. And they've already stated that. One of the things that the Finance Minister said today when he was making this announcement is that, as much as possible, Zimbabweans will be encouraged to participate. That's why these companies are being, will list on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, for instance, to give an opportunity for local Zimbabweans who are capable, who have the money to be able to buy up shares and to participate in the ownership. Also bearing in mind that, there are other ways to empower Zimbabweans. So, local procurement, compelling these investors to buy their materials, raw materials, and other inputs from local companies, job creation, amongst others, social investment, social responsibility projects, are other ways in which we're likely to see government encouraging these companies to give back to the community and not really, stipulate that a certain chunk or percentage must be given to locals. Anina.
All right, Farai Mokutia on the line from Harare. Thank you for joining us, Farai.